Hello and welcome to my February book wrap-up video. Today is my half birthday, so go ahead and comment happy half birthday because it's my half birthday today. So let's get started. The first book that I read this month was A Mother's Reckoning, Living in the Aftermath of a Tragedy by Sue Klebold. And this is, I'm sure you've heard this book by now, but this is Sue Klebold, and this is Dylan Klebold, and he is one of the boys that did the Columbine shooting. So this book was very heavy read. It talked a lot about grief and mental health, and it was just a very, very, very heavy read. I picked it up a long time ago, like years ago. I picked this up to read it, and didn't get very far into it. So I finally finished it this year, or this month. I took time again to read it. It's such a heavy book. So if you are in the right mind space to read a book like this, I would recommend it. I gave it 4 stars. It's heavy though. Got to be in the right mindset. The next book that I read, I've talked about already a few times on this channel, and we all know how I felt about the ending of this book. But it is Lonely Castle in the Mirror. Oh, this is my new favorite book of all time. I think I've already said that in the video already, but since this is my wrap-up video of the month, I will say it again. This is my new favorite book of all time. I absolutely love this book. 5 stars all around. It was just so good. It was one of those books that I finished and just I had to hug it. Like I just wanted all of the love and all of the feels, and I love this book so much. Could not recommend it more highly. If you are interested in like fantasy and just, it's written so well about how children and young adults feel about life and pressures of school and people, and just, it's just written so nicely. And I have nothing bad to say about this book. Not one thing. Like, I cannot think of one bad thing to say about this book. 5 stars, new favorite. Moving on. Okay, so the next book that I read a lot of nonfiction this month. So the next book that I read is Down the Rabbit Hole, Curious Adventures and Cautionary Tales of a Former Playboy Bunny by Holly Madison. I did not give this one a rating. I felt weird giving a rating to someone's autobiography. So I did not give this one a rating. I did enjoy it though. I said in my video where I actually talked about where I was actually reading this book, I said that Holly was never one of my favorites on Girls Next Door. Not that I like hated her or disliked her. She just wasn't my favorite. But she definitely is now, and one of, like, as an adult looking back at her time at the Playboy Mansion through Girls Next Door and now through this book, I like her so much more, and I appreciate her so much more, and just hearing about the struggles and just like the anxiety and mental health that she dealt with while at the Playboy Mansion was very kind of eye-opening, I guess, because you look at these people, these celebrities, and you watch Girls Next Door and you're like, wow, you have like the coolest life ever. Like, that's amazing. That's so cool. And it just kind of goes to show, like, nothing is ever really quite what it seems. I don't know. I liked it. Didn't give it a rating, but I liked it and I would recommend it if this is something that interests you. So the next book I read is So You Want to Talk About Race, and I gave this book 5 stars. This book was very eye-opening. You learn more about systemic racism and just different, it's just like the little things that you don't even think about as, I mean, I don't even think about, at least as a white cis woman, but you just learn, like, I learned so much from this book, and I highly recommend it to anyone. I think everyone should read this book. I would read this again. I think anytime you need a reminder of just, I don't know. I don't even know what to say, but I've had a lot of conversations with my friends about this book. I have also, since reading this book, discovered things that I have said, I have done that is not good. And I'm learning from it, and I want to learn, and I want to learn more, and I just want to be better. Read it. Just read it, because I can guarantee you will learn so much from it. Read it. Read it. Read it. That was my third nonfiction book. I was over nonfiction. I wanted to get back into imagination land, and the real world sucks. I need escapism. So I read The Ocean at the End of the Lane by Neil Gaiman. And this book was really good. I gave it 4 stars. This is one of Allie's favorite books. And I really enjoyed it. It was a good, fast read. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was cute and fun, and I liked the adventure, and it really did what I wanted it to do. I wanted to get back into imagination land, and this did it. So yeah, 4 stars. Okay, the next one that I read. I'm gonna, without even showing you the book, I'm just gonna say I gave this book 2 stars. I probably should have given it 1, but I gave it 2. Just for nostalgic purposes, I guess. Tuck Everlasting. I remember reading this book as a kid, loving this book as a kid. I love the movie. Movie's better than the book. 100%. 100%. And honestly, fight me if you want to, because I will fight it. This book sucked. I read it in a night. I mean, because it's a children's book, it's tiny. And just, it was not good. I also don't remember her being 10. She's 10 in the book. Like, I know that they aged her up in the movie, but she's 10 in the book? Oh, it's just, ew. Movie's better than the book. Fight me. But I gave this 2 stars. Next. The last book that I read this month is The 6 Wives and Many Mistresses of Henry VIII, The Women's Stories. I have been listening and watching Six the Musical for months now, on repeat basically. And so I texted my cousin Grace, because she's also very much interested in The 6 Wives of Henry VIII. And I was like, okay, I want a book that is basically Six the Musical. Like, I want each wife to have their own little section. I want to read all about them and then go on to the next wife. And so she gave me a lot of recommendations, because 1, she's a librarian, 2, she's into this kind of stuff too, and 3, anytime I ask Grace for any kind of book recommendations, I get plenty. So she gave me a lot of them. And then a few weeks later, Ashlyn and I were at Half Price Books, and I was looking in the world history section, and I found this one. This is not one that she recommended. Grace had not read this one, so I've read a book now that Grace hasn't. So, and I sent it to her, and she's like, "Oh, I've not read that one, but I'm sure it will be really good." I really liked this book. I gave it 4 stars. I just finished it I just finished it like an hour or 2 ago. So, yeah, I enjoyed it. 4 stars. I'd recommend it if you're interested. So last month I filmed this whole bit where I talked about what my TBRs for February were, but I didn't end up putting it in the video just because it seemed too long. And the only 2 books on that TBR list that I gave out was this one, and these are the only 2 that I read out of that list that I gave. But, you know, it happens. So this time I do want to include my TBRs. for the month of March. So, the first the first book that I would really like to read in the month of March is Love, Lucy, which is Lucille Ball's autobiography. Let me tell you, I have been trying to get this book since December, and I finally got it yesterday when Mom and I went to Half Price Books. So, I'd like to read this. I've been wanting to read this for a while now, so I would like to finally read this. The next book I would like to read is Hold Still by Nina LaCour, because I really like Nina LaCour and haven't read one of her books in a month. So I'd like to read that. I would also like to read Playground, A Childhood Lost Inside the Playboy Mansion. This is written by a woman who grew up going to the Playboy Mansion because her dad was Hef's personal doctor. So she literally grew up at the Playboy Mansion. I'd like to read that. The next book I would like to read is I Who Have Never Known Men. This book has been on my radar for a couple of months now. Again, another one of Allie's favorites, and I'd like to read it. It's also just a short little book. So, yep. The next one is Three Women. This is one of Harry Styles' favorite books, and I want to read it. That's pretty much it. I don't know a whole lot about this one, but yeah, I'd like to read it next month. And the next one is House in the Cerulean Sea. Again, another one of Allie's favorites. I'm hoping that I have the same feels for this book as I did for Lonely Castle in the Mirror. So yeah, this is a top contender for next month. I mean, all of them really are top contenders for next month, but these are the books that I would like to read next month, and I will see you at the end of next month to see if I actually did read any of these or all of them. Alrighty, so thank you for watching, and I will see you guys all in my next video. Bye!